Hello my soul family, welcome to today's fashion show red carpet event for June of 2021. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. This is a special show provided free by my spiritual counseling TV network, and in this show every month we talk about the spiritual journey and different terms we discuss so that we can learn, but we also get messages about what each month's main theme is when it comes to soul growth and evolving on our spiritual journey. This is how we continue to progress, improve, and become better people, by learning, by taking the counsel from God, and by putting in the work behind the scenes more than anything. And today is, a little gathering that we come up usually on the weekends, and I usually come up with a cake design as well, with a special channeled message that I wrote, which I do have prepared for you all for today. So take a look at the design that I always attach to today's video. And my cake designs from Christie's Divine Creations, which is provided by my Body, Mind, and Spirit Health and Wellness brand, is inspired by it's just an inspiration, an artistic inspiration that really came out of nowhere, and is how I developed this show. And I really enjoy it because both the love show and the fashion red carpet event show tie in together to give us a complete package of a message for when it comes to each month. So let's begin then with this theme of June of 2021. I hope you're all having a blessed day, and so far you're having a beautiful month. And I just want more good things for you this month, which is why we're going to talk about what we need to work on. Make sure that you also watch all of the fashion shows that I've done since February, because they all build off one another. So if you're new to this show today and you're new to my channel and it's the first time that you're meeting me, make sure that you also watch my previous fashion shows so that you can understand the whole entire storyline, because we're building off again what we have said in the past episodes. Alright, so as usual, you all know that I like to complement every show usually with a cup of coffee to make it more fun and definitely wake us up, because that's what the journey's about, right? It's about being awake and not slumber and just going through the motion, but it's about actually doing everything with intention, and that's how we live in the moment. That's an advice, key point for this month. Because again, I like to teach about the spiritual journey, terms that perhaps I talk about in my other shows and exclusive content, but maybe I don't break it down per se. But in this show, we break it down, themes that come up. So it's a very educational / entertaining show. So for the next hour, get prepared for this beautiful ride and make sure you have your seatbelt on. All right. So before I actually get to the actual letter that I wrote, the theme for this month is heavenly sent. Heavenly sent. We are heavenly sent, right? As light workers, as earth angels, but we are also being bestowed gifts that are heavenly sent. We have been blessed for having reached the top of God's mountain and then more, right? Remember what we talked about specifically in the April fashion show, about the different stages of purgatory, what keeps people stuck, and what allows other people to transcend. And that's embarking on a whole new journey, a new light journey that is in the ethereal spiritual realm that most people don't have access to. Hence, it's a gateway through this portal that we've entered last month in May, the Garden of Eden that we talked about, remember? And now that we've passed through this portal and this gateway, there's heavenly sent a lot of things. Like there's heavenly sent messages, revelations, insights, new partners as well, the spiritual love journey, which is what I talk about in the love show, new career opportunities for our mission work per se, because as light workers, it's not necessarily just a career, it's mission work, and that's much more powerful because that's our purpose, our calling, and that's why we're still alive, right? Anybody who has a true calling in their heart and know that they want to do great things for the collective, for the world, and for God, those are the people who are thriving and literally surviving, because God protects those people and blesses them because he sees that they have this inner drive and passion for life. Anybody who doesn't have passion for life is either A, depressed, or either B, they've lost hope in a better future. And those are the people who are having a very difficult time and struggling. And the secret way out simply is finding your calling, finding your purpose, because that's going to give you meaning for your life. It's going to give you a reason to want to live and keep going despite the hardship, because that's life. Everybody has challenges, obstacles to face, hurdles to jump over. But those that are able to are the ones who are fortified and develop more of this inner spiritual strength. And then that's when life gets easier, per se, because it's not that we stop dealing with hardships, it's just that we learn how to deal with them much gracefully. So it seems like life is just easier as you grow wiser, not older, because again, it's not about age, but you grow wiser with each and new experience. And then the more that you pass the test quicker, the more graceful you're going to be able to live for the rest of your life. And who doesn't want to reach this state of inner peace? Because this is what it's about. This inner peace is also heavenly sent. It is a gift from God to be in peace despite the chaos, despite the turmoil in the outside world. And this is, just exemplifying that no amount of worldly darkness can ever distinguish a soul's inner light. And I heard that from someone and it stuck with me because it's so true. The light will never stop lighting, basically. And what's interesting, there's no such thing as coincidence, because I've been doing a lot of night reading every night, even specifically this weekend. So as I'm filming today, it's Saturday evening. And yesterday Friday evening, after I filmed the love show for June, I was reading some of my secret teachings readings that I do at night for my Buddha Talk Spiritual Gatherings class in my School of Light. And what interestingly came up yesterday was the theme of darkness versus light. The light wouldn't exist without the darkness, because the darkness is hence the void, which life was born of, right? Light literally came from the dark, because I'm learning about how the world came to be, how it literally all began, cosmically. And not many people have this kind of revelation, but I'm going to reveal to you what I've been learning a bit. But of course, we'll go deeper in my spiritual gatherings at my School of Light. If you want access to that class, become a member of my School of Light, and plus so much more exclusive content. And basically, they're both a requirement. Darkness is a requirement for the light. And without the dark, the light can't be the light, right? Because the light literally lights up in the dark. It's like a candle in the night will light up that night, and you'll be able to see. And so likewise, the dark per se can still exist without the light. So you see how there's something to be afraid about of the dark, because this is when people deal with their shadows. And it's okay to do this shadow work, because this is what only brings you stronger into the light. You've had to have experienced the darkness. Nobody who's truly in the light, genuinely, they must have had to experience some kind of darkness in their life. If not, they would be lying, because it's just not possible. Everything stems first from darkness. The world, before God created it, as in the book of Genesis in the Bible, the world was dark, it was empty, it was a nothing. And out of that nothing is when came that light. And that's, how God created the earth and the people, the animals, the plants, nature, everything. But first, we needed the light. So again, don't be afraid of the darkness when you're facing your own shadows, because it's needed for healing. And this is some of the revelations that we're getting this month, because we're realizing that heaven is closer than we realize. Heaven on earth. Anybody can experience heaven on earth, and aka this is what's the equivalent of inner peace. When nothing can disturb that, you're living in your heaven, in your paraíso, right? What we've been learning about. So I feel like now it's time for me to take out my sketchbook and definitely read today's channel's message. So I'm actually guided to read to you what is this about darkness versus light. Give you a little education. I always like to bring notes. So I highlighted what is important. And I do want to read this passage about darkness versus light and how they're actually one, and they both are also the part of us, the yin and the yang, right? The polar opposites, the masculine and the feminine. Most of the time, the darkness is representative of the masculine energy per se, and the light is the feminine energy. All right, so let me read to you this real quick. The essence of darkness being absolute light. Darkness is taken as the appropriate allegorical representation of the condition of the universe during pralaya, which is a term that means for absolute rest, when the world is still, or non-being, before it had movement, before it was alive, basically, because that's what came to life. It's what's termed the great breath. That's how the world came to be alive, basically. It's like God gave one great breath, and that's how we came to be, as it appears to our finite minds. Okay, so let's continue with this little part here. So we have the two elements of fire and water, or father and mother, right? Masculine or feminine. And they may be taken to mean the divine ray, which is kind of like the light, which actually ties in with the cake that I designed. And then chaos. So let me show you the cake real quick to tell you this is the divine ray. Take a look at the cake here. And I drew kind of like, as always, there's roses on the top, but these are white roses. And these are gold like banners with stars, kind of like cosmic throwing down into earth, like a divine ray, bringing us light workers, but also bringing like an ascension energy, an enlightenment vibe. And that's what I channeled here. And I drew 5 banners, which is in numerology representative of change. Lots of change and action this month, which is heaven sent guidance to bring us to our dream come true. All right, so let's continue with this then. All right, so this is what the explanation is. Light and darkness are identical in themselves, being only divisible in the human mind, which the human mind per se is very much an illusion, because unless the spiritual eye is awoken, you'll be able to see through this. And this is the revelation. Darkness adopted illumination in order to make itself visible. You understand? On Rosenkreuz, according to the tenets of Eastern occultism, darkness is the one true actuality, the basis and the root of light, without which the latter could never manifest itself, not even exist. Light is matter, and darkness is pure spirit, with a capital S. Darkness, in its radical metaphysical basis, is subjective and absolute light, while the latter, in all of its seeming effulgence and glory, is merely a mass of shadows, as it can never be eternal and is simply an illusion, or what's called Maya. Even in the mind-baffling and science-harassing book of Genesis in the Bible, light is created out of darkness, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, in the cosmos, in the universe. Even the Milky Way doesn't exist without the darkness, okay? Because the Milky Way is like the light. If you see a picture of space, the Milky Way is pure light, whereas just wherever the stars are in the universe is literally darkness. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is about embracing the darkness, the shadows, and not being afraid of it. And that's how you conquer fear. And that's how you're able to face your shadows and truly heal from the inside out. In him, which is in darkness, was life, and the life was the light of men. Light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth not. Now they will see that the word darkness does not apply to man's spiritual eyesight, but indeed to darkness, the absolute, that comprehendeth not transient light, however transcendent to human eyes. And there's another point before we get to the channel's message that I wanted to bring about Jesus and the different versions and perspectives when it comes to the snake. And I think this is relevant to today, because since in the May fashion show we talked about the Garden of Eden, and in the Garden of Eden it was the serpent that tempted Eve, and eventually Adam, right? But there's also a positive representation and symbolic meaning to the snake, and that's what I want to read to you real quick before we get started, because I feel like it's relevant to today's message. This is why there's no such thing as being afraid of the dark per se. And when you realize the illusion, the Maya, there's no potential or possibility of being tempted, because you're already way over that. You understand? And that's what true transcendence is about, and that's why we're here. You want to reach this level that nothing's going to be able to faze you, because you know the truth with a capital T. Alright? And of course, A Course in Miracles, what we study in a spiritual book club in my School of Light, also helps us to understand this on a deeper level. Now, how do you pronounce this? Oyahu, which is universal wisdom, the son of the sun, contains in himself the 7 creative host, or the Sephiroth, and is thus the essence of manifested wisdom. So he who bathes in the light of Oihu, which is the universal wisdom, hence those who are enlightened, those who have the secret ancient knowledge, will never be deceived by the veil of Maya, which is the veil of illusion. And I've been channeling this a lot, even in the June French fashion show photo shoot that I did. This month's theme was Unveil Your Light, because that's the illusion that you need to veil yourself. Release the veil, remove the veil, and you'll see that there's nothing to be afraid about. Okay, so what I wanted to read today is about this dragon of wisdom, which is the one, or in Sanskrit, the Eka, or Saka. And it's curious as well that Jehovah's name, which was Jesus, in Hebrew should also be one, Echad. Now Jehovah, esoterically known as Elohim in the Bible, is also the serpent or the dragon that tempted Eve. So how can they both be both, right? And the dragon is an old glyph for astral light, which is a primordial principle, which is the wisdom of chaos. Now, archaic philosophy, recognizing neither good nor evil as a fundamental or independent power, but starting from the absolute all, which is universal perfection eternally, traced both through the course of natural evolution to pure light condensing gradually into form, hence becoming matter or evil. Now, the primitive symbol of the serpent symbolized actually divine wisdom and perfection, and also the Kundalini awakening when it comes to chakras. And it has always stood for psychical regeneration and immortality, realizing that the soul within is immortal. And you know what's an interesting metaphor as well to kind of relate? Our physical body is literally the cocoon for our soul within. So hence this year with the rebirth, we're still in this caterpillar phase. And it's not until you finally transform and transcend into the butterfly that you've reached the metamorphosis, which is the theme for 2022. And I'm not talking about only physically per se, but it's more on a spiritual level. Climbing the ladder of the different dimensions, which we did study, I believe, also in the May fashion show. Now Hermes, which according to Greek mythology is the messenger of God, called the serpent the most spiritual of all beings. And if you want to learn more about Greek mythology, also a class at my School of Light. Even Moses from the Bible in the Old Testament, in the book of Exodus, initiated in the wisdom of Hermes, following suit in Genesis. The Gnostic serpent with the 7 vowels over its head being the emblem of the 7 hierarchies of the septenary or planetary creators, hence the 7 planets, or the main planets before others were discovered. And then even the Hindu serpents Sesha and Ananta, or the infinite, a name of Vishnu, whose first vehicle or vehicle on the primordial waters is the serpent. And now it's very important to note as well, they all did make a distinction and a difference between the good and the bad serpent. The astral light of the Kabbalist, between the former, the embodiment of divine wisdom, in the region of the spiritual, and the latter, the evil on the plane of matter. Now Jesus is what I wanted to get at. accepted the serpent as a synonym of wisdom. And this formed part of his teaching. Be ye wise as serpent, he used to say. In the beginning, before mother became father-mother, the fiery dragon moved in the infinitudes alone. And the astral light, or hence the ethers, of the ancient pagans, for the name of astral light is actually quite modern, is spirit matter. And beginning with the pure spiritual plane, it becomes grosser, like more real, as it descends until it becomes the Maya, the illusion, or the tempting and deceitful serpent on our plane. That's how it becomes a temptation. So if you didn't understand this, re-watch this portion and really dissect what I just said. And then finally, but not least, the celestial ocean, the ether, is the breath of the Father, our God, source, creator, the life-giving principle. The mother is the Holy Spirit, for these are not separated, and their union is life. Hence also the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine is written in the stars, is written before creation, is written in stone basically, because we would not be here if it were not the case. And this is also why procreation, reproduction is the way that it is, because this is the example that we follow. You know, this is not all a coincidence. Why animals mate, why humans reproduce, it all came from this notion of the father and the mother, the spiritual father and mother, needing to be in union to create this life. Remember that our Father in heaven, mother, is also representative of the earth, because earth, and so remember that earth is a feminine energy. Okay, so let's move on to the message then for today, heaven sent. Let me take out my mic. It's looking for my mic. All right, heaven sent, June 2021. The message this month is clear. Heaven has answered your prayers. This new gift, blessing, idea, calling, and mission has been heaven sent. If this is a dream, the passion and drive has been reawakened, and that's where my Lightworker University 2021 Part 2, the reawakening, comes in. Please purchase that paid event. It's already available on my website, christieramirez.com/Lightworker University, and we go deeper into what these next 6 months is about and what you should focus on. We got spiritual guidance. It was very, very insightful. If this is love, the true one has arrived. Watch the love show for June. It's really good. Everything is set up in perfect position for victory to happen. You will triumph and succeed at your life in all areas, so long as you stay the course and follow the signs. It's time to go towards this new beginning, this new you, this new life. Do not be afraid. It has been an unexpected turn of events, so expect the unexpected. That's the only thing that's going to keep us sane during these times. Don't stick to your expectations, but rather just surrender and just be in this not knowing state, and then let yourself be surprised by God. That's the only way that you're going to be at peace. Big change has happened because it's time to go. This is the time for action, like I said. Your destiny awaits. Go for the gold. The stars are aligned. Enter this new portal towards the gates to heaven on earth. The angelic messengers have shown us the way, and now it's up to you. Do you have the courage? Love, Christie. And this is the end message. Do you have the courage? Because all of this is going to require a lot of courage from within. This is about stepping outside your comfort zone to the max and be willing to try new approaches, different things, different ways of doing things. Because whatever has been tried in the past, and if it didn't work out, either A, the circumstances or the environment, or just the canvas with which you were working with, the blank canvas, wasn't right for thriving, or the approach was wrong. That's B. And so if either of those reasons have been discarded, then definitely you need to try a new approach, right? Einstein said that the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's never going to happen, because you already got the confirmation that it didn't work out the first time for whatever reason, or just something was off, or something was missing. And so it could just literally be that little adjustment, that little change, that little shift, either in perspective or in actual physical action. And that's where everybody's life is very individual at this point, and where you need to go deep into reflection to figure out how this applies to your life at this moment. Because this is the moment to change, to create new manifestations, alchemize the life of our dreams. And there's no more waiting. Don't procrastinate, because that's only going to delay and set you back even further, and you definitely don't want to miss out. You want to be on this new boat towards the new world, and that's where we're all heading towards. That's what this heaven on earth is. It's literally the ascension of Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, into the higher dimensional realms. And only those who are ready and prepared, and definitely wide open and awake in their spiritual eye, are going to be able to cross that bridge and step into this new portal. And, you know, cosmically, I have the feeling that there are a lot of literal openings, like black holes, I don't know, weird things happening in the cosmos at this moment, because there's just been a lot of drastic change in directions, and weird guidance that we've also gotten from God. And that's the funny part of it, because that's the blind faith. If you don't understand what God is telling you to do, but you still trust God, you do it. And then you'll find out why He made you do it. And that's how I live my life. And I never cease to be surprised by God's miracles on an everyday basis. There's always a reason why there is a detour or a delay or just a change in direction. There's a reason always that you might not even know ever, but it's for your safety, for your protection, or it's just for the best. And at the end of the day, we need to surrender and be humble, because we're only human as well. And even though we can reach enlightenment, it doesn't take away from the fact that God is always the most all-knowing. And we're always to remember this, because that's what God appreciates, right? He appreciates any parent appreciates respect from their children. And that's what God expects from us as His divine children. And He's not controlling, and He's not, what's it called, like a dictator kind of father, but He does want our respect. And just like that, He also respects us and our dreams and wishes and desires. He sees you, and He knows your true deepest desires, and He wishes to bless you with that. But it's just about patience for when the time is ripe and when everything is in synchronistic order. That's what I'm feeling for this month. I want to see if there's anything in specific. I think today's going to be a little bit shorter, but definitely make sure that in my School of Light you also check out my weekly poetry class, because there's where we get deeper insights about the themes that we either talk in the fashion show or here in the love show. And I feel like that's where we're being guided towards today. Extend that today and make today's a little shorter for the fashion show. Make sure that you watch the love show and all the other content that I always post, free and exclusive. Don't miss out on the exclusive, because there's just so much great stuff there. In my Spiritual Counseling TV network, you have the weekly motivational speech, your weekly therapy session. We have the Q&A show, couples therapy talk show, a woman's forum empowerment series, a mindset talk where we talk about psychology themes, and then our daily morning spiritual guidance, which is what helps us on a daily basis. Sign up to my free mailing list to receive your weekly and monthly newsletter. In the monthly newsletter is where I expand on today's messages in the form of a blog article, as well as the love shows. So you don't want to miss out on that content as well. And then of course in my School of Light, there's just so much great stuff there year round. This is never ceasing basically, and we're always continuing to learn new things that's going to help us on our soul journey. And there's also a spiritual book club for Spanish speakers and for kids as well. And make sure that you check out my new You Tell Me Soul Coaching program. This is what's going to help you with this transition right now, as we are being bestowed with all of this abundance, the gold here. We're going to need guidance for this shift and transformation. And again, this can only happen through free will and actually intrinsic motivation to want to do it. Nobody is going to make you do it, not even God. But he does wish that you were disciplined, because this is what the mission is about. It is about being disciplined warriors of light. And that's how we honor God. And that's how we are living, walking representations of Christ all the time. And then how we leave our legacy and mark on this planet, on earth. You want to be able to leave your footprints literally for future generations to come. And we do this by what you do for a living, what you do for the people, and what you leave for others as well. What do you do to inspire the world? And what's of use to continue to all of us evolve on our soul journey? Think about that this month, because you're going to get all of these insights that are heaven sent in number 1, solitude, silence, and stillness. Those are your 3 main S's that are going to give you this wisdom, hence what the serpent stands for. And we gain this wisdom. Many of the times it isn't hermit. I'm not telling you need to be hermit 24/7, but do give yourself that time. It doesn't matter if you have a family or responsibilities. Everybody can owe it to themselves to have this alone time. And in this solitude is when you're going to be giving these great insights about what are the next steps for your life journey, what it is that you should go towards so that you can live your dream now in this reality on earth, and stop wasting time and then experience your heaven on earth. And that's how we alchemize the life of our dreams. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. Thank you all for watching today's fashion show red carpet event. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will definitely see you all for next month. Go to my website for more information and resources, ChristieRamirez.com. Make sure that you also check out my new journal. Purchase it on Amazon, The Rebirth, your 2021 Spiritual Guidance and Gratitude Journal. It's going to help you a lot tremendously. Every night, 2 to 3 minutes, that's all you need. But it's going to make all the difference in the quality of your life and the rest of this year. Have an amazing day, everyone. Namaste.